that's also being showcased on the Vita. Clint, you want to go talk a little bit about Treachery and Beatdown City?
Indeed. So the game is Treachery and Beatdown City, a tactical brawler. This comes to us by Shawn Alexander Allen from New York. I don't know the name of the studio, although he mentions it in the pitch video. So this is a Kickstarter. It's got 19 days to go. They are asking for $50,000. They have raised $6,423 across 215 backers. And what this guy is, it's an homage to the classic beat-em-ups of yore. Games like Double Dragon, Final Fight, River City Ransom. Am I missing one? Streets of Rage. Can't forget Streets of Rage. So definitely all those games influence this game. But their twist on gameplay is that they combine that simplistic real-time combat with a turn-based system. So pitch video is pretty good. Gives you an idea of what to expect. I don't think there's too much narration. It's just more of a game trailer. But then they have a secondary video just a little bit down on the page that shows you gameplay on the PS Vita. And that, I believe, is a stretch goal. But they have a version working on the Vita now, and it really gives you a great idea of how they pull off this system. You're basically using the turn-based combat mechanics to deliver combo strikes, and so they have a point system that governs how how high-powered strikes you can deliver. More powerful strikes will cost more points. They're more inaccurate, but they'll do more damage. Whereas cheaper moves have higher accuracy, but of course they don't do so much damage. And then you don't just have to do it turn-based. You can also fight in real time, and you will need to move around in real time. And if you want to, the trailer shows guys, punching down mailboxes and other environmental objects, and to reveal like a plate of chicken or something to eat and restore health. Such a classic beat 'em up game trope, right? And you also can fight in real time, but I guess to really get into the heavy damage combos, you need to pull up the turn-based menus and do it that way. So to me, this seems like a pretty cute concept. They're asking for a ton of money for something like this, and it may be because they're they're trying to go for PC, Mac, and PS Vita, and there could be a lot of art assets, but it seems like they already have a lot of stuff done. Yeah, the only reservation I have is that maybe the real, when you watch the demo of the PlayStation Vita gameplay, the parts that are real-time look almost tacked on, where it's like the guy only goes into real-time to sort of juke around and avoid the enemy, and then he needs to rebuild his meter, which is like these 3 bars, which represents, you have 3 moves you can do when you pause the game and go into the combo menu system. So you're just going to real time to essentially kill time and build up your action points again. That part looks a little awkward, but it's kind of cool if his back is turned and he goes into excuse me. If he goes into the turn-based system, he won't be able to do certain moves because he's not facing the enemy, and the enemy will maybe get a free strike on him, and his response is limited to, say, guarding or just taking a hit. So has some interesting mechanics there. So that is basically the game, Treachery and Beatdown City. What do you guys think?
I'm immediately a fan of the music. I mean, there is some pretty intensive 8-bit, totally NES music.
Oh yeah, they play up the 8-bit retro stuff.
I just think out of all the games we've covered so far, that music was the most intense. It's just
high
cool.
intensity.
It's cool. Yeah, it's cool. I think it's interesting that they have over 26 unique characters. I think that's pretty neat. Um, and the fact that it's like a half and half kind of thing going on with the gameplay elements. Like you can do turn-based and also have a little free movement over your character. I think that's pretty interesting. I haven't really, I guess some of those more. I guess that's not different as far as maybe some of the Final Fantasy games are, where only in combat sequences you're doing that. But I guess I've never seen that in an 8-bit game, to my knowledge, especially a recent remix like this in Beatdown City. So I think it's interesting. Also, go ahead. Sorry.
I don't know.
Remi,
Yeah.
No, I was just going to say, last but not least, it looks like President Obama's and like the really cool poster at the bottom.
Yeah.
So, other than that, Remi, what are your thoughts on this thing, man?
Yeah, I was gonna say since I was a kid, I always liked this type of games. Beat 'em up, like that Ninja Turtles in Time. I think it was like awesome, or Battletoads. Those type of games where you're just like beating the crap out of everything that appears on screen, and by default it has a certain charm to it. Of course, I'm being a little bit biased, but a couple of things that caught my eye is the adding of RPG elements. I'm not sure if I'm a fan of it. I mean, it's interesting, but I guess it just breaks the classic beat 'em up style, because you just want to mash buttons sometimes. And I guess unless it's well balanced, it might just feel weird. I don't know. I would have to play it to see, right? If that makes any sense. And the other thing, I don't know about the graphics. They completely look NES style, and maybe a lot of people would really like it. But I think I don't know. It's not my. I'm not a super fan of the way it looks. Yeah. Harsh. But
Justin, it's what we're here to do. Justin, what are your thoughts on this thing?
I don't know. It's odd that they mentioned that they're big fans of beat 'em ups and stuff like that. But if the game is completely just turn-based, almost, like there is positioning that matters. But it's a game that it feels like you could just play on a mobile. Like it could work well for mobile because you're not really like spamming buttons to do attacks. You're like going through menus and then you just press in whatever type of attack you want to do. So it's not as Twitch based.
Yeah, and I think that like Remi said, as far as artwork is concerned, maybe this idea will kind of put people off. But there's a lot of these 16-bit or 8-bit games that are pretty popular, and I guess whether or not I guess we haven't seen too many of these faux like Turtles in Time like slash. I mean, it's unique in that it's bringing different gameplay elements together in a game. So I guess is that uniqueness enough to make this a popular go on Kickstarter? We'll find out, I guess.
Yeah, I just really are you guys sensing this renaissance for anything that's turn-based? I remember not too long ago, if you mentioned turn-based to anyone, they just sort of give you like that look, or their reaction would be like, "Ew, turn-based, right? That's old. What is that? That's primitive, right? It's like, I like it real time, Turn-based, that's your daddy's game, right, or your grandpa's game." But I think very quietly among indies, they've been bringing back turn-based gameplay, and for sure the XCOM reboot from a couple years back really brought it into the spotlight and really showed that you can be turn-based and sexy, I guess you could say. Turn-based and sexy. So
yeah, it especially works well for mobile, like touch screen devices.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, you're pretty limited with a touch screen, like when it comes to controls.
Mhm.
But when you're doing turn-based, you're just kind of like, it's more about strategy and thinking about your decisions. And it's, you don't have to worry about like the fidelity of the controls and stuff like that.
For sure.
And I like that not everybody shows a budget breakdown for their games, but they definitely are trying to, and they established that most of this is just for living expenses. They put a lot of their own money into the game, which is neat, and they just want to survive while they finish making the game. I mean, what more can you ask? Unless they're spending it on pizza parties.
That's bold of them to say that, because I think now I think people expect it the other way. It makes sense, right? As people gotta live, people gotta eat, they need to pay rent, but people almost expect the budget to go directly into the game, right?
Right.